Hey, so this is the first time I'm doing this, and it could be pretty cool. I'm trying to find a way, given that I'm always writing other things other than baseball articles. Even though I would like to, but I just don't have time, or getting paid for it. If I was getting paid for it, I'd have time, but not right now. So I just want to talk about baseball. I want to focus on a particular topic, which each new recording I do, that's my chair. And it's going to be called 363. It's my favorite double play, first base to second base, back to first base. I feel, given that I was a first baseman when I was a little leaguer who prided himself on playing decent defense despite being like a dwarf relative to other first basemen, that the 363 is the ultimate test of a defensive first baseman. Range, throwing the ball to second base, and if you're a really great defensive first baseman, you get back to the base with ease, and the pitcher won't even have to cover. If you didn't have to range too far, of course. But I love the 363 double play. So I just want to start today. I kind of did a little tweet storm about this yesterday, and I realized it'd be a decent topic for discussion. And that is what the Marlins are currently doing with their rebuild. And it's kind of like a bit of a heated topic online. There's people writing articles just totally skewering Jeter and the Marlins over what they're doing right now, basically trading any viable major leaguer they have for prospects, and I don't think they're done yet. I think before this season's over, everyone's probably going to be gone who is a recognizable major league player. I could see them going into the season with Real Muto, because if a team that is contending has a need for a catcher, they would give up a lot for Real Muto, because catching's so valuable, and a catcher who can hit is insanely valuable, and Real Muto still has upside. But I think there's a chance they would get more for Real Muto in season if a contending team had a pressing need a catcher. They may be willing to give up a lot to get that last piece of their team, or perceived final piece. Castro, I think, will probably go before the off season's over, more likely. Prado, probably not going anywhere because he has a bit of a prohibitive contract, but Bohr probably stays too because he's under arbitration. But the focus of these articles has kind of been the league-wide freeze on free agent activity for the most part, though Lorenzo Cain just signed yesterday. And what the Pirates have done, trading Garrett Cole, trading McCutchen. There's whispers of collusion in the air, which is not an impossibility. I myself feel like collusion already happened again since the 80s in the 2002 offseason, when Reggie Sanders and Kenny Lofton both mysteriously get the same one-year contract offer from the Pirates for like $2 million or whatever paltry salary it was for players of their caliber, very good veteran major league players. So, I'm certainly not denying the fact that there could be collusion going on, low-level collusion, not the kind we saw in the 80s where it was so blatant, kind of more like that, more like, the 2002 off-season, which the ironic thing about that, too, that was also, if I remember, and I am remembering, I believe I am remembering correctly, that was post the new collective bargaining agreement. Although I might be... No, that was 2003 because Lofton got traded to the Cubs. And I remember them in the playoffs that year. So I am right. It was the first year after new collective bargaining agreement, which is this offseason, is the first offseason after a new collective bargaining agreement. So definitely could be going on. I'm not as much of an alarmist about it as other people. I think, the dance between players and owners is going to be going on as long as Major League Baseball exists. You know, there's the owners are always going to be trying to suppress salaries in some kind of a way. It's a simulation of a free market. It's really not when you consider the arbitration and you know, a player not having the right to choose his team until he's on his Major League Ball club for 6 years. So the idea of it ever being like a perfect free market situation is illusory. It's not going to happen, and that is why, given that context, I don't tend, as I said, to be an alarmist about, you know, this, you know, recent free agent freeze indicates an attempt by the owners to, you know, suppress salary to the extent that there's going to be a major crack up by the time the next collective bargaining agreement is negotiated, and they won't get one done. I mean, look, that can always happen. You're talking about sports leagues here. Collective bargaining and labor strife is basically part of the equation. Periods of peace are often, you know, punctuated at the end by strife, and that's just how it works. So that's kind of what I don't understand to a degree about the tone of these articles as well. It's kind of like they're so alarmist and they're so angry, which kind of baffles me. Now, if you're a Pittsburgh Pirate fan, I would understand you being infuriated, and more for the team not investing in long-term success following, you know, 2015. They had a very quiet off-season and basically swapped John Neese for Neil Walker, which wasn't even a good trade at all, and signed John Jaso coming off of a fantastic 2015 regular season. So I understand, you know, if a Pirates blogger or a Marlins blogger was writing these posts saying how the system doesn't work, totally understandable, because it doesn't. I mean, no sports league really works from a competitive balance standpoint. I mean, it's all basically public relations, one way or the other. You know, the NBA and the NFL have a salary cap, so what? You know, the Patriots are in like their 15th Super Bowl in the past like 20 years. That's like a slight over exaggeration. And you have teams in the NBA like Sacramento, which, you know, you're relying on the lottery ping pong balls bouncing your way. I mean, the Kings have made some dubious trades, obviously, but a lot of that just comes down to luck, plain and simple. So the salary cap doesn't guarantee competitive balance any more than baseball's lack of a salary cap guarantees, you know, competitive imbalance permanently, because it's been relatively competitive this decade. This decade saw the Royals make 2 World Series. The Pirates had World Series caliber teams for about 3 years in a row. So, and the A's also in the beginning of the decade had a heck of a team. Now, keeping those teams together from a sustainability standpoint, the way the current system works, is probably impossible, although fans of those teams would argue, why don't these billionaire owners just spend more money and keep Josh Donaldson and re-sign Garrett Cole to like a 5-year extension, and on and on and on. That, from that standpoint, I understand the anger. What I don't understand, as someone who's been a columnist before, I haven't written baseball columns in a long time, but I wanted to do that in my life at a certain point. What I don't understand, if you're in that position, is, again, taking that very emotional, alarmist mentality as if it's the world is ending because the Miami Marlins are rebuilding, or because the Pirates owners are being cheap, like they have been since they've owned the team. I mean, I think it's unfortunate, but I don't see where that should provoke, you know, such deep anger. And, you know, I'm going to get into my Marlins spiel, kind of defending what they're doing, playing devil's advocate. I don't entirely subscribe to the notion that what they're doing is right, or that they've even made good trades. I thought the trade they just made was excellent, because I like Isan Diaz, although he didn't really have a great year last year. I like the potential. But still, I mean, I do think there are... My argument is there's baseball reasons for what they're doing that you can legitimately site that I don't think national columnists are really paying any attention to, and I will make that argument. I think in a perfect world, this team maybe could have won a title with the team that they had, but it would have taken, an unrealistic commitment from an owner that doesn't exist, who bought the team, who's like one of the richest people in America, and will really throw money around, because that's what the team needed. And that was kind of unrealistic to expect that to happen, and it wasn't going to happen with another owner. Even Jorge Mas, which I've kind of read a little about, who knows if it's totally true, but his plan, again, was kind of playing it halfway, I feel, hoping for a wild card berth, and this team was going to have to rebuild anyway, and I'll get into that. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel right now. I think, if you're in a heated state as a baseball columnist over what's been going on this winter, I mean, try going back, 14 years. Go back and take a look at Kenny Lofton's situation following the season he had in 2002, which was a nice year. It started with the White Sox and ended with the Giants, and he got a walk-off hits and the Giants the World Series. It's Kenny Lofton, basically, from a talent standpoint, Hall of Fame caliber player. Didn't quite probably have the accumulation of counting stats like hits, 3,000 hits or whatever. But it's basically a Hall of Fame leadoff man, center fielder. Had he gotten like 3,000 hits if he had started his career earlier, because I think he came up when he was 24. And like Reggie Sanders, who's an excellent player, basically had like an MVP caliber season in 1995, had a very good career, and he signs for 1 year, $1 million, or 1 year, $2 million with the Pirates. And go back and look at that and look at what was going on at the trade deadline in 2002, where basically nothing happened because there was a freeze because the bargaining agreement was being negotiated at that point. And anyway, my point is the world kept turning from that point, and I'm kind of just analyzing these situations. My dog's coming in to visit me, so kind of continuing along here, because I would like for this not to run too long. I'm gonna get up and close my door. There we go. This is like a little Andy Warhol for you. We're in the factory right now. Just got up and closed the door. It's very like meta. This is not a baseball video. This is an art project. But anyway, I'm going to try to defend what the Marlins are doing from a baseball standpoint, and kind of step away from the emotionality of the situation that Marlins fans are embroiled in, which is totally understandable. If I was a Marlins fan, I would be pissed off about what's going on. I wouldn't want to step back and kind of look at the entire situation like I'm about to do, and also columnists who are kind of taking the slingshot and firing at Derek Jeter, which I think is hilarious in a way, because Derek Jeter is a minority baseball owner, which is a huge deal. It's an absolute huge deal, and if the manager of the Marlins continues to be incompetent for 5 or 6 years, that will matter more. But I think for a minority owner in baseball to be taken to criticism for doing something that's basically defensible, when you take a step back and actually analyze the situation the Marlins are in, I think it's just crazy, really. And I get it, people react emotionally when the National League MVP gets traded, and Marcell Ozuna gets traded maybe after the best year he's ever going to have in his career, possibly, and Yelich gets moved, and but here's the thing. I'm really getting into my thesis right now. I think, to kind of answer these articles and opinions that are going around, I think if you write an article and you're on a soapbox talking about this, which is fine, because people want to get on, you want to write an article, you want to be making a definite point, I understand that. Please, by all means, have a plan accompanying your article explaining what the Marlins should have done this offseason that would have led to them contending. And not only that, because we're in an era of analytics. A lot of the columnists right now are well versed in analytics. So by all means, explain how such moves the Marlins should have made this offseason that didn't